My name is Sabrina Wall. I'm the Executive Director of the Franchise Brokers Association, and today I'm going to be talking about careers in franchising. I'm an entrepreneur. I believe that anyone who believes they can be an entrepreneur should be, because it is a much better life. You have to work harder in the beginning, but the flexibility and the reward far surpass the initial effort that you put into it. If anyone has read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it embraces this philosophy, and it's something that I think everyone should take a chance and opportunity to review. I currently have 6 businesses. I'm a franchisee of 2 different systems. I have a commercial cleaning franchise, of which we are the 2nd largest franchisees in the Central Florida market for 8 years in a row now, and I have a tanning and spa concept. I run these both passively, and I am a franchise broker as well. I've been doing that for about 9 years now, which led to many other channels of business. So the 4 lines of business that I'm an executive and work in today are train, support, connect, and invest. So we train franchise brokers or individuals who want to become a franchise broker how to do that in our company called Franchise Training Institute. So we help them to set up their business and become a franchise broker. Just if you don't know what a franchise broker is someone who acts kind of like a real estate agent acts to a buyer. So if someone's looking to buy a home, they would work with a real estate agent to use the MLS and find homes that match their criteria. Franchise brokers do the exact same thing, but for franchises. So they work with a buyer who's looking to purchase a franchise, and they find out their criteria and select the franchises that match what they're looking for. Support, so once they are in the business of franchising, then we help to support their franchise broker business. So we provide tools and resources to them, just like the real estate agent has the MLS. The franchise broker has the FLS, which we host on our platform. Connect, we hold the largest franchise brokers conference and expo in the country, and that's held here in Orlando every year. It just passed in November. And then invest, which is our newest line of business. Investing is where we help immigrants who are looking to come to the United States. We help them to purchase a franchise, invest in that franchise. We run the franchise for them, and then that allows them to be able to get their visa. And so that is an opportunity where we can actually help facilitate that process for them. So as the executive director of the Franchise Brokers Association, it's a membership organization. So we train franchisors and brokers how to sell franchises. We provide all types of support services for them, different tools to help them run their business. We provide ongoing training and education to them. And most importantly, we provide a community forum for the brokers and the franchisors to interact with one another and to network with one another. We also facilitate certification programs and compliance programs to make sure that they're educated in helping to educate their buyers, and that they're selling franchises in a way that is compliant with what the franchise laws and guidelines are. So how did I get into this industry? Well, I did it totally by accident. I wasn't looking to change careers. I actually had a former colleague of mine who her position had been eliminated. And so she came to me and asked if I would invest in a franchise that she could run. And so we began the search of looking for a franchise to buy. And I didn't realize at the time how inexpensively you could get into a franchise. The investment amount can be significantly lower than what I anticipated. I thought it was going to be $1 million to buy a McDonald's, but once I started researching, I found that there were much more affordable options, well under $100,000. So I started searching for a franchise, and I used a franchise broker. And I found that it was a very simple, easy process that he took me through. And when I discovered how much a franchise broker earned in commissions, I decided to buy a license myself and become one. So I found a group of quality mentors to help me in my business as a franchise broker. And through that process of learning from these franchise attorneys and franchise developers and franchise coaches and consultants, those mentors trained me. And so I was able to achieve higher levels of success than I think a normal franchise broker would achieve. And through that process, I gained a name and reputation for myself within the field. Other brokers then started asking me, how are you doing this? What tools are you using? What resources are you using? How are you talking to your clients? And so we saw a need and decided to ask the mentors that I had for my own business to act as a board of advisor in the Franchise Brokers Association. And so with that, the Franchise Brokers Association was born. What do I do in this position? I manage an association of over 500 professionals within the franchise field. And we work closely with experts in all fields. So franchise lawyers, business experts, funding experts, franchise development experts. So those are people who are looking to help an individual business that's not a franchise turn into a franchise and then offer licenses to people that want to buy it. We work with internet marketing experts as well. I manage a team here in Orlando that supports the organization as a whole. And we train these brokers across the country. We help to provide support and resources for the members' individual issues. We also test programs. So we check and see what is new and up and coming as far as ways people are purchasing franchises. We test different systems to make sure that they have the most effective tools for operating their business. And we organize events where brokers and franchisors can come and attend and meet one another and network. We also create tools to help them with their different efficiencies. So there is a lot of money within the franchising field. It is large enough to support big business, but also it is very specialized. So many people do not have franchising experience. But when you see an application that comes across the desk and it shows franchise experience, well, that one kind of moves to the top of the line. It's a big enough industry to have great equity building potential, but it's also small enough where you're able to make a name for yourself and a reputation for yourself, and you can virtually be guaranteed a position anywhere within the field. There's also many opportunities to work from home. Because franchisors support franchisees all over the country and the world, much of their operations is remote and field operations. So there is a large opportunity to work from home if that's something that you're interested in. So now that you know a little bit about me, I'm going to talk to you about why I'm a spokesperson for franchising. I have seen the power of franchising. I've witnessed it personally in my own life, but I've also seen person after person come through and with little or no experience build a franchise, become successful, and really set up their life. It's very remarkable. I have 2 franchises. I run them both passively with very low participation on my part. I'm paid a check every single month for that. So I want you to understand that no business is easy, but franchising, it's dramatically easier. The reason why is because an individual who buys a franchise, they're essentially paying for all of the knowledge, the trial and error, the systems, and the mentorship of the franchisor. But they're also getting all the insight of every other franchisee who's in that system. Now think about this. If you were to recreate that knowledge, if you were to individually do that, it would come at a tremendous cost and a tremendous investment in time. So with a franchise system, the franchisee, the person that is running that unit, they don't spend their time figuring out how to do the business. They spend their time following a plan and then interacting with customers and getting to the money-making activities faster. They have a team of people who are willing to help them at a moment's notice. They have a back office support with the franchisor. They also have a family of advisors that are going to do the same thing and are willing to help support them in any way that they need it. Franchisees tend to have a lot of pride of ownership because they're building something on their own, but they also are able to realize that success at arm's reach instead of something that seems like miles and miles away. Franchise ownership is truly empowering. You make the rules for your life. So let's talk a little bit about a franchise broker. So as a franchise broker, it's really unique. You can actually use your commissions for a franchise to purchase a franchise yourself. So that's what I did. I actually used my commissions, I partnered with individuals, and I got loans to be able to purchase a franchise very early on in life. Now with the franchise, what I found is that if you commit to 5 years of working really hard at that business and investing back in the business, so not trying to get rich within the first 5 years, but really taking the profits from that business and investing them back in, you can actually set yourself up financially for the rest of your life. Because when you build a franchise to sell, it becomes an asset. So every day that you're doing work, you're working to build your portfolio. You use the support of the franchisor to help run the business, and you minimize the risk and the learning curve while maximizing the reward. So let's talk a little bit about the state of franchising. The IFA, the International Franchise Association, at franchise.org, they produce an annual report on the state of franchising. The most recent report that they have is 2013. They're about to come out with a 2014 report. So this information comes from that research that they do on the state of franchising. So last year, the franchise sector accounted for roughly 10% of all new jobs, bringing total jobs into the industry up to more than 8 million today. In 2013, the franchise sector has added 184,000 new jobs in industries such as business and personal services, restaurants, automobile, education, and manufacturing. So overall, the franchise sector indirectly supports more than 18 million jobs. Quite a large impact. Franchisors also forecast that they're going to grow faster than the broader economy. As you see here, the blue is the economy at large, and then the green is the franchise sector. And we find that there's a good attitude in franchising. Franchisors are more optimistic about their growth year after year. So let's talk a little bit about the scope of franchising. What types of industries are in franchising? Well, pretty much anything that you can think of is a franchise today. You've got automotive, business services, consulting, training, financial, signage, children. We've got children from an array of daycare services to tutoring to after-school services, cleaning and maintenance. You've got home improvement, decoration, remodeling, and repair. Computer and internet services. This is a new segment that has some really cool things coming up with it. Food and beverage, that's the classic one. Print, copy, and mail services. Special needs and senior care. Beauty, health, and fitness, pet, retail, sports and recreation, real estate services, and the list goes on and on. So if you're looking for a career in franchising, there are two ways to approach this. You can go to the franchisor, so the system at large. For instance, if you were going to McDonald's Corporation as opposed to the individual unit McDonald's that is actually running a store. So if you go to the franchisor, then you have opportunities in franchise development. So that's growing new franchisees within the system. Franchise support, so helping franchisees who are actively in the system to grow and learn. There are many administration and support types of positions. Technology, franchises are really on the cutting edge of technology, and so you do have a large opportunity for growth there. Operations, marketing and PR, franchisors do the most marketing and PR. Funding, financial services, lead generation, and launch teams, so actually going out and helping to set up and build locations within a franchise system. If you're working for the franchisee, so the unit in a local market, that encompasses every possible work scenario available today. So what are some executive careers in franchising? So how can you move up the ladder, and how quickly can you move up that ladder? There are opportunities as all the C levels, so CEO, CFO, CMO, COO, and CCO. You've got HR directors, PR directors, franchisee relations director, which is cool because it's a coaching type of position. Quality director, ensuring that your franchisees are providing the best quality service. Marketing director, regional director, so going around to all of the different markets and unit franchisees to make sure that they're doing the best job that they can. Business development, finance, construction, commercial real estate, social media, researching and developing. That's a big segment in franchising because they're always trying to be on the cutting edge, reinvent themselves, help to have their franchisees be more and more successful. Operations directors, turnaround experts. So let's say there's a franchise unit that isn't doing well. The franchisors often have experts that will go out to those locations and help turn them around. So they'll actually work with the employees, work with the owner to make those stores more profitable. And training directors. So I'd like to now go into some examples of a viability of a franchise unit. So let me show you why there's so much opportunity within franchising. So I'd like to highlight a franchisor. This franchise system is Express Employment Professionals. This is one of the largest staffing companies within the US, and they are a very well-developed brand. So Express Employment Professionals, if you look at the resales, so what I mean by that is a franchise that has already been up and running for a period of time, and now those owners are transitioning or wanting to sell that business. What types of earnings can they get from the business that they sell? So we'd like to take an example. If you were an employee, what would your earning capability be and what would your net worth be at the end of a 10-year period versus being a franchisee? So if you were an employee, let's say in the best case scenario, you were paid $80,000 a year. After taxes, you're making about $56,000. The reason why is because employees are taxed at the highest tax rate of anyone in the US. Business owners are taxed at a much lower tax rate. So being that they don't have those tax deductions that they can take, they actually pay the most. So it works for the government that way because the government needs more people who are producing to be able to support the economies of the government. So if you were an employee, after 10 years, let's say you were very diligent about your money and you put aside and saved, paid off your debts. Let's say at the end of 10 years, you have a home that's worth $350,000, a car that's worth $40,000, and a savings of $50,000. Those will be our constants. So your net worth at that point is $440,000. Now, even if you maxed out your 401k at 15% for 10 years, you would still only have $120,000. Plus, let's say you had a 6% return, so roughly $167,000. So your total net worth with your 401k is $607,000 roughly. Now, if you look at the same person, if they chose to be a franchise owner, now this is a real example of a franchise within the express employment system. They had the resale up for sale. The owners of that system were taking out a salary of $300,000 per year. So it was a husband and wife team. Their estimated their estimated revenue after taxes was $255,000 because they were able to take tax deductions. So for instance, if you're using your cell phone for business and personal, you can deduct a portion of your cell phone bill for anything that you use you use it for in regards to business. So you can actually deduct a lot more expenses that support your livelihood. Also, as a business owner, you can actually take a draw on half of your income instead of it being taxed as an employee rate, which means that you're paying far less taxes on the portion that's a draw. So by doing this, as well as other accounting methods, you have the ability to keep more of what you earn. So in this example, the business was actually up and running for 7 years. So we're going to keep everything else constant. The home, car, and the savings are around the same. But the business value was $1.3 million. So the total net worth of this individual would be $1.74 million. This from an investment of $135,000. So these owners actually saw an equity return of over 950% in 7 years on top of their annual draw. Pretty impressive. Let's look at AAMCO. So AAMCO is an automobile repair company, also a very well-known car care system. So AAMCO, if we use the same example for the employees, and we look at an actual example of a resale. So this is an individual who is earning a salary of $80,000 a year. After taxes, because it's lower, they were actually able to deduct more than the previous example. So their after-tax amount is $78,000 that they were keeping. Their business equity, including real estate and equipment, after 10 years with AAMCO, was that they had a $300,000 business asset. So the actual store location was earning about $300,000 as far as what it was valued at. And that's an estimate from the resale listing. Then they have about $400,000 in the value of the land and the building. So what happened here is that the owner purchased the land, they got a loan on that land and the building. They then had the franchise pay rent to themselves. So the franchise, over that period of time, paid off the land and the building and more than doubled the size of that asset. So now this individual's net worth, with your constants, the business value is at $700,000. So their total net worth is $1.14 million. That's 2.6 times what that person would have been worth had they gone the traditional route of typical employment. Now this owner can also do two things. They can sell the business and the land and the building, or they can sell the business but keep the land and the building and continue to get an annuity stream where they're being paid rent on a passive income basis. You guys can pull resale examples. They're available online. You can look at bizbuysell.com and you can see many examples of resales that are available out there. Some other types of franchising are franchises, Ace Hardware, that's a very well-known one. AIM Mail Centers, Bright Star Healthcare, which is a senior care service. Fantastic Sam's, a haircutting franchise. Massage Luxe, which is a massage franchise. Fast Signs, they're an awesome franchise growing very rapidly. Sport Clips, Zoop, Highway 55, Burgers, Shakes and Fries, Naturals to Go, Learning Express, Huntington Learning Center, Express Oil Change, U-Break iFix, you guys are probably familiar with in the Orlando market, Kid to Kid, Cece's Pizza, College Hunks, Hauling Junk, they were just noted in a national magazine, Hard Knocks, which is also a franchisor that's based in Orlando, and Caliber Patient Care are some of the new up-and-coming franchises that can provide opportunity to someone who's looking for a career in franchising. So in summary, there is an unlimited future in franchising. You are more employable to an employer because you're process and systems focused. And if you're process and systems focused, that's the only way that you can run a functioning business. You have more opportunity to become a franchisee if you understand the franchise process, and so you're able to diversify your assets. And it's the highest growth segment within the market. So we invite you to research and investigate a career in franchising. Thank you.
Can we ask a few questions maybe
Sure.
to keep it on? A couple of questions is, first one, many of our students will come out to the job market with very little experience. Maybe they've done an internship fairly young, and some of them not well capitalized. What is the best way to start given this position?
A franchise or start as an employment?
In the franchising industry, what would you recommend given the kind of the scenario that I painted for a student who is just coming out and doesn't really have a lot of money, doesn't
Right.
have a lot of experience, but wants to perhaps examine franchising as part of their industry?
Well, I would look at, it's really more, are they willing to move or are they willing to stay in a local market? Because when they're in a local market, they can look at what franchisors are headquartered here. Franchisors are typically smaller operations. You would think that they're very large, but they're usually smaller. So you do have an opportunity for interning, for coming in and, working any type of position at that franchisor. You could start at even an admin level and move up very quickly because they're smaller companies. So that is a great opportunity for local franchisors. If they're looking to go and work with a franchisee, then you just want to get to know the managers. Get to know the managers pretty quickly. There are opportunities where franchisors will actually take someone who's starting at a minimum wage type of position and grows them to owning a franchise. Fantastic Sam's is one of those companies. Highway 55 is one of those companies that they'll actually grow the franchisee grow the manager to owning the franchise. So there is opportunity in that way. There are also, if they have good credit, there are also some unsecured lines of credit if they wanted to become a franchisee. Those lines of credit, they can get up to $150,000. So if they have a partner who also has good credit, they can get $300,000 to capitalize their business. I have personally witnessed so many young entrepreneurs achieve great levels of success through purchasing a franchise and then growing it and building their assets that way. So it's really neat to see young people achieving those levels of success, and it's not common in other opportunities and avenues that they have to develop themselves.
And what is the best way to network if you want to get to know the managers and the franchisees and the franchisors?
Franchising is really interesting because it actually is a public database. You can look at a franchisor's franchise disclosure document and know who the owners are. There are also many events where franchisors attend those events. The IFA holds franchisor events within a state, and so they would want to travel to those different IFA events to meet franchisors. We also hold events where an individual who's looking for a career in franchising could attend that event and network, like the annual Franchise Brokers Conference and Expo. Some other things that they can do are going to the multi-unit franchisee expo, and there's a real estate, a restaurant and finance expo. Those expos are totally full to the brim of executives in franchising, so you can very easily meet the right people and work your way up the ladder.
Last time that you were giving this lecture in the class, one female student asked you whether franchising allows you to facilitate both a career and a family life simultaneously. Can you say something about how to balance the two using franchising?
Yeah, so the question is balancing a career with having family life as well. If you're working for the franchisor is typically more of a 9-to-5 type of situation. You're not going to be having a lot of long hours in those cases. If you're working for a brand new franchisor, that's when it's going to be more of a time commitment. If you're trying to buy a franchise and becoming a franchisee, then you can select franchises that actually have hours that are consistent with a 9-to-5 type of environment. So, for instance, the sign franchise, Fast Signs, they have hours that are a 9-to-5 type of arrangement. So that would be a franchise that would be a good fit if you're trying to balance lifestyle as well as business and career advancement.
And how do you choose the right industry? How do you know whether you want to be in fast food or automobiles or internet? How does one choose among the different industries? They're so different as much as the businesses within the industries.
I think that, one, if you have a passion for something, it's easier to go towards something that you have a passion for. But also just picking the right companies. If you're looking for a good company to grow with, look at the leadership of that company. It doesn't really matter what they're doing, because you can be doing PR and marketing for IT or automotive or a food and beverage. But if you are focused on working for leadership that cares about their employees, leadership that's going to provide advancement, then that's what you need to be looking for. Those are the opportunities that are going to help you to grow faster.
So are you saying, though, that if you're in the field of franchising, it might be easier to jump industries that use franchising, to go from one industry to another?
Oh, we see that all the time. All the time. Professionals are in one system and they'll go to a totally different industry, but because they understand franchising, they understand franchisees and the system of support and processes, that is key knowledge that most business owners don't have. And so it transfers, and yeah, you can skip from industry to industry.
We're in the Orlando area now. What are the top franchisors in Orlando, in your opinion?
That's a good question. There are a lot of small franchisors in the Orlando market.
Can you mention some names for those of us that don't know?
Yeah, Hard Knocks is here in the Orlando area. Tomasino's is here in the Orlando area. Flippers is in Orlando area. Those are all, those last two are pizza concepts. We've got, I'm trying to think of, I might be a little rusty on that question. I can get a list for you. How about that?
Excellent.
I can get a list of franchisors that are in Orlando.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.